Hello everybody. We will start new chapter today on fundamental rights. It is about fundamental rights. Okay. So I brought the PPT for class. Why rights? Rights. What are rights? Rights are claims of individual upon others. Rights are given by others, by society, by family, by nation. Rights are enjoyed interpersonally. We have rights everywhere. We have rights in our family, rights in institutions, rights in society and country. Then why rights are essential? Because there are certain rights like human rights, and human rights are civil rights, social rights, civil rights, political rights, cultural rights. Political rights and economic rights. So there are different kinds of rights. There are certain also natural rights out of them. Natural rights, right to life. Okay, so rights are divided into various categories. But in this part, we shall learn about fundamental rights. Most of them are made fundamental. Why rights are called fundamental? Why rights are called fundamental? Why fundamental? Rights, why they are called fundamental? There are three reasons why rights are called fundamental. They are because they are basic human rights. They are basic human rights. And they are also, number two, protected by the Constitution. The Indian Constitution. They are protected by the Constitution. How they are protected? They are protected through Supreme Court and High Court. The Article 32 and Article 226. These rights are meant for what? These articles. Protection of human rights. They are in the Constitution to protect fundamental rights. Under Article 32, a person can move the Supreme Court for the enforcement of fundamental rights. And in Article 226, a person can move the High Court for the enforcement of fundamental rights. That is there. That is there. So when any person is deprived of his or her fundamental rights, when any person, whether citizen or alien, any person deprived his or her fundamental rights, he will be given protection under Article 32. And Rights are fundamental because they are required, they are essential for the for all round growth of an individual. All round growth. All round growth on physical, mental, social, economic, spiritual, intellectual. For this reason, rights are called fundamental. Their basic human rights means they are meant for all human beings. They are means congenital rights, or rights from the very birth of human beings. Birth rights. It is available to all irrespective of religion, race, caste, gender, and place of birth. Got it? Why it is called rights? Why are fundamental rights are called so? Because of these three reasons, basic reasons. Okay, we have already mentioned here that they are also called fundamental because they are essential in all-round development of material, intellectual, moral, spiritual of the individuals. In the Constitution, fundamental rights is found in Part 3 with Articles 12 to 35. It is borrowed from the American Constitution Bills of Rights. Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights in America inspired us to have a fundamental rights. But fundamental rights originated in 13th century by in England in the document known as Magna Carta. One document called Magna Carta was published in England in 1215. It is the first codification of fundamental rights. First codification. Okay, that is called Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights. Then came the Bill of Rights of America. Bill of Rights in the USA. Okay, Bill of Rights. It is a declaration of certain fundamental rights of the people of America. Then also in 1791, the French Constitution also contains rights of man as some basic rights. Okay, So Bill of Rights is a charter that was created in 1789 in America for that purpose. So we have been inspired by American Constitution. It is also the Universal Declaration of Human Rights UDHR that was published on 10 December 2000, 1948. It also have certain basic human rights published by the United Nations on 10 December 1948 as a guideline to most of the countries for securing fundamental rights to its citizens. So Indian Constitution is also inspired by UDHR. Article 2 to 21 articles of the Universal Declaration are substantially found mentioned in Part 3 of Indian Constitution. So this is a brief history of fundamental rights. So we shall now come to types of fundamental rights. There are 7 types of fundamental rights mentioned in the Constitution earlier. And you can see on the screen the mention about the 7 types of fundamental rights. These are called fundamental. Right to equality, that contains various provisions how to establish, how to secure equality to citizens and persons, and right to freedom. It contains 19 to 22, exploitation, against exploitation, 23, 24, and also freedom of religion special rights, 25 to 28, and cultural and educational rights, 29, 30. There was a fundamental right to property, and also there is right to constitutional limits. So originally, means 1950, fundamental rights were of 7 types. But property was deleted, right to property, Article 31, and also 19(1)(f), another provision related to property, that the freedom to hold and dispose property was there in 19(1)(f). These 2 articles have been repealed from Part 3, and it was made a constitutional or legal right, a constitutional right under 300A in Part 12 now. So you can say right to property is a constitutional right now. It is not a fundamental right because it is not mentioned in Part 3 now. So 44th Amendment made or abolished 2 articles, 31 and 19(1)(f). 19(1)(f) was freedom to hold or dispose property, private property. So these 2 articles are abolished. Now there are 6 types of fundamental rights. They are, so this right, you can strike it down. these rights in no more. Okay? Then, what are the characteristic features of fundamental rights? Characteristic features. What are the essential features of fundamental rights? Essential features. So you can see on the screen that we have mentioned certain basic characteristics or fundamental characteristics of fundamental rights. Let us first discuss them. Some rights are exclusively available to citizens, and some are available to persons like citizens, aliens, legal persons like corporations, companies. I would like to remind you that the rights that are available to the citizens only. Article 15, 16, and 19, these are exclusively made available to citizens. They are not available to any aliens. But other rights are available to all citizens, aliens, and also corporations, companies. They have also rights. They cannot be treated unequally. So they are also legal persons, LIC, example of legal persons. So Article 15, 16, and 19. They are available to only citizens. Fundamental rights are not absolute but qualified. Next, they are not absolute in nature, not absolute. But qualified. They are not absolute but qualified. Means they can be restricted. They can be restricted to some extent. And who impose restrictions? Parliament. Can these restrictions be arbitrary? Can these restrictions be arbitrary? Restriction arbitrary हो सकता है कि नहीं? No. They must be reasonable. They must be reasonable. Then who will decide reasonableness? Who decides such restrictions? Who decides? The Supreme Court. the Supreme Court of India. It decides the reasonableness of the restrictions. It is not because collective collective interest is essential, more essential than individual interest. Reasonableness of such restriction can be met. Who decides it? Okay? It is why restrictions are there. Restrictions are necessary to strike a balance between individual liberty and common interest of the social good. If one's individual right mars or affects common interest or social interest control, then that right will be restricted. Okay, that is the meaning of fundamental rights are not absolute but qualified. In fact, no right is absolute. No right. Not only fundamental rights but also other rights are there. They are not absolute in nature. Next, some rights are available against arbitrary actions of the state. Some of them are also against individual action. Most of the rights are there to limit the power of the government. Limit the powers of the government. Hence, fundamentally said to be limited government. Promote limited government, not despotic government, not unrestricted government. All the fundamental rights. The state cannot discriminate, the state cannot deny, the state cannot make any discriminations, the state cannot deny freedoms. So these are therefore called fundamental rights, makes provision for limited government. But few provisions are also available against individuals. Like Article 15, Article 16 also, 21 also, Article 15, 17 against untouchability, right to life. So Article 15 non-discriminations on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. 17 untouchability. So 17 we cannot practice untouchability. Hence, this said fundamental rights against state and also against individuals. Some of them are negative, some are positive. Means most of the rights states shall make provisions for, that is equality for law and equal protection of law. There are certain rights, that are the negative in connotations, like Article 17, Article 18. So these are negative rights, Article 17 or okay. So these are called negative fundamental rights in India. Okay. So negative fundamental rights like okay. So you can say 17, $18. Okay, then fundamental rights are justiciable. Most profound characteristic of fundamental rights. Most profound characteristic of fundamental rights is that it is justiciable in nature, enforceable. So that is called the major characteristic of fundamental rights. It differentiates fundamental rights from others. It distinguishes fundamental rights from other rights. It is justiciable because a person can move the court for the enforcement of his rights if it is violated, contravened, or transgressed by the state or an individual. Okay, then they're dependent and guaranteed by the Supreme Court, first of all. Supreme Court is the protector of fundamental rights. Although High Court is also empowered as a protector, but the Supreme Court is also given the power to protect. It is the protector. It adds to the significance of fundamental rights that there's such a set of basic rights that even Supreme Court is directly involved in the enforcement. Okay. Next, fundamental rights are not permanent. They are not permanent. They are not sacrosanct, sacred. They are not sacred. They are not permanent. Sacrosanct. Sacrosanct means sacred, hallowed. But they are not permanent. It means that they can be repealed, curtailed, amended by Parliament under Article 368. That means special majority without destroying the basic structure of the Constitution. It is given because to meet the demands of the changing time. Time is not static, hence not all the rights. That is also a point to remember. Law needs to be made law needs to be made means made to match the time. So Parliament can do the amendments. Hence it is called not permanent. Article 31 abolished, repealed. Article 21A added. Several times changes take place, several restrictions are added, several restrictions are repealed. So it can be done by Parliament. So we cannot say they are sacrosanct part or permanent part of the Constitution. They can be suspended also. During national emergency and martial law also, they can be suspended. The citizens can be prevented from enjoying these rights. They can be prevented from enjoying these rights in certain exceptional circumstances in the larger interest. But 20 and 21, the articles are there, which should seldom be repealed or suspended. This provision that providing protection to 2021 was given by 44th Amendment Act 1978. The President cannot suspend articles under 20 provisions under 2021. Next, fundamental rights not meant equally for all persons. Fundamental rights can be restricted to a great extent for defense persons, for employees or members of armed forces, paramilitary forces, intelligence services, police. It is because in the interest of discipline and national security. So that means they can be abrogated, restricted. It is for the interest of the discipline and national security of the country. They can be restricted upon when martial law is operation, I told you. So these are the basic phenomenal phenomenal characteristic of fundamental rights. And another factor we forgot to mention that fundamental rights promote political democracy or political equality in the society. Okay, so these are The fundamental rights of the people, characteristic of fundamental rights. Okay, now we shall come to the discussion, summary discussion of various problems. Articles. So as I told you, fundamental rights content Article 12 to 35. But fundamental rights begin from Article 14. Article 12 deals with the definition of state in the part 3. What is the meaning of state that is used or mentioned frequently in in part 3? Okay. So what constitutes state in part 3? State constitutes everyone that deals with government. The executive, the legislature, the executive and legislature of the state, local authorities, statutory and non-statutory authorities, institutions, they also come under state. Okay. The state has been defined in a wider sense. And also, the court has said if a private body working as an instrument of the state falls with the definition of state. Any private body working as an instrument of any hospital, if it works in behalf of the government to deliver health services, then at that point of time it will be called public institutions. So anybody associated with the work of the state, but there is exception. Judiciary is not a part of it. Judiciary is not considered to be a state under Article 12 because judiciary is the protector, guardian, and is not involved in day-to-day affairs of the governance. So they are immune to. Article 13. Article 13 is definition of law. So this law consists what the law consists means any law that comes on the way of fundamental rights, any law that contravenes the fundamental rights, it will be declared void. And it contains the power of judicial review. So any law that contravenes, violates fundamental rights shall be declared void by the Supreme Court. Means struck down by the Supreme Court. So it contains power of judicial review. Unless the Supreme Court reviews, how can it know that a law violates? So what comes under this law? Laws have a broader meaning in this article. Any law made by the union legislature or state legislature, ordinances issued by the president, executive legislations like order, bylaw, rules, regulations, notifications, customs and usage, and other non-legislative sources, those who are being practiced in the country. And in Kesavananda Bharati case and also Goloknath case, past case, Goloknath case, 1967, it was mentioned that any constitutional amendment act can become a law and considered a law, and if it violates fundamental rights, it will be declared void. It means Parliament cannot abrogate or repeal any fundamental rights by way of constitutional amendment act. Okay. Okay. So right to equality. Equality means what? First of all, remember equality means absence of any special privileges for any section of the society. For any individuals or a section. So Constitution denies that the state shall not deny equality before law and equal protection of law. That means that means Okay, so no discrimination can be made with regards to equality before law and equal protection of law on the ground of religion, caste, race, sex, place of birth. So 14 reads that the state shall not deny to any person equality before law and equal protection of law in the territory of India. It embodies that all are equal before the law and are entitled without discrimination equal protection of the law. The two concepts, equality before law and equal protection of law, together constitute the rule of law and equal justice. It provides that no law can be discriminatory. So this article provides rule of law. Okay. So what is the meaning of equality before law? Equality before law implies the principle that no one is above law, or all are equal. It means one system of law for all. And this concept is borrowed from USA, UK. It establishes rule of law that was proposed by A.B. Dice. With regards to equal protection of law, it requires a lot of laws and statutes in the country which provide equal protection to all without any discrimination. Whatever laws are made in the country, they must provide equal protection to those for whom the laws are made. Specific laws are made. So, equality for law is negative, whereas equal protection of law is positive in nature. Equality before law is negative because it denies any special provisions. Because it implies that right to equality treatment is equal circumstances. The underlying idea of the two principles is around socio-economic justice in a political democracy. If people are not treated equally, if people are not given an equal footing or status before the law, then democracy will lose its meaning. Okay, So it is essential because unless inequality is driven out, citizens cannot be treated equally. Citizens cannot be treated equally. Hence, equality is the foremost necessity for achieving social and economic justice in the country. But there are certain exceptions. Although everyone is equal before the law, and law will provide equal protection to all, but there are certain exceptions made to it. And what are the exceptions? Okay, so exception number one, president or the governor of a state are not answerable to any court of law for the performance of duties, official duties during their term. They are not subject to be judicially scrutinized. Okay, so they can not answerable to any court of law for their performance. It is given in Article 361. Are not then no criminal proceedings whoever shall be instituted against president or governor any in Article 361. Let me say do. In court if during its term no criminal case can be lodged, no civil proceedings can also be lodged without serving 2 months notice. But these provisions does not mean that president cannot be impeached or governors can be removed. And also these immunities are made some extent foreign ambassadors and foreign sovereign heads. These are called exceptions. So right to equality or equality before law. Equality before law is not absolute in character. We can write this point also. Okay. Then Article 15. 15 is about non-discriminations. It is available against the state and the individuals also. Prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. No discrimination by the state against any citizen on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. Okay. So no person shall be denied or discriminated on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. The state shall not discriminate against any citizen. It is meant for citizens only, not against foreigners. It states that the state shall not discriminate against any citizen on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, plus or not. Okay, the citizens cannot be denied or discriminated on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, any of them, subject to disability, liability restrictions, with an access to they cannot be discriminated to access to public shops, public restaurants, hotels, palaces, public entertainment, public places. They cannot be prevented from using wells, tanks, bathing guards, roads, places of resorts maintained only or partially by the state. So there should not be caste-based discrimination on the using of public property areas. But the state can make special provisions for women and children. Okay. So although there is provision that there shall be no discrimination on the basis of gender and yeah, but the state can make special provision for women, children. That is under Article 15.3. State can also make provisions for the advancement of CBC or SC and ST like reservation. So reservation has been initiated and introduced in 93rd Amendment 5, where in higher institutions there are reservation for women, for SC, ST and OBC. As you can see on the screen, there is a term creamy layer. Creamy layer is applicable to OBC reservations. And if a person having more than 8 lakh income per year, then he can go for non-tax. It was headed by Ramanandan Committee. Article 16. 16 is about and 15 के बारे में आपको याद रखना चाहिए कि it is available against individual also. Okay. Equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. No citizen shall on the grounds only of religion, race, caste, descent. One provision added, descent and residence or intelligible services under the government. Be ineligible for services. These are the 7 grounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Residents right there. That is 16.2. 16.3. Okay, the state can make special provisions with regards to any certain class or class. Any requirement as to requirement of residence within the state or union territories prior to such employment. So, state can make residence as a qualifications for certain states. For certain states, parliament can make legislation. Okay, so that is, and the state can make also reservation. Reservation for, so there are certain states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, they have their provision for residence. Now it is abolished. And in certain northeastern states, including Arunachal Pradesh, has a provision of residence for the appointment to certain posts. So it is very few. There is no such there is no such disqualifications on the ground. Residence for certain officers, reservation for certain classes, 16.3, 16.4. State can make operation for which reservation of certain states, that is 16.4. And in case of religious and other denominations, okay, so that is the exceptions. So the state cannot be restricted in case of appointment of religious and denominational nature, where religious qualification can be considered as a qualifications. So appointment of a matlab head of a mosque. See, the person should have minimum that there should be an Islam, should be Muslim. So then only he can be appointed. So here religion will be made a qualifications. Then 17. 17 is available against individual also. Okay. So untouchability means practice of caste discriminations. The upper caste treated the lower caste as untouchable. Even the majority religion considered lower religions or minority religions as untouchable. So usually it is caste based and religion based. So India is a pluralistic country, a multipolar country. Hence, there is a need for mutual and peaceful coexistence among the partners of the country. So, untouchability is outrightly forbidden in India. For this purpose, Online Untouchability Prevention Act was enacted in 1955. Untouchability Prevention Act, amended in 1976. It was renamed as Protection of Civil Rights Act, and under this act, various provisions have been added to give effect to untouchability protection. It is available against individual also. Next, abolition of titles. Article 18 prevents the state from confirming or conferring any title except military and academic distinctions. It prohibits any citizen of India to accept any title from any foreign state. Then it allows military and academic qualifications. Academic, engineer, doctor, these are the titles. So you can say IAS, OAS, these are allowed. Gallantry titles, civilian titles like Bharat Ratna and Padma Vibhusana, Padma Bhusana, Padma Shri, and Parambir Chakra, Mahabir Chakra, Bir Chakra, Param Visist Seva Medal, Ashok Chakra, Shaurya Chakra, Kirti Chakra. Number of articles are there. A number of hours. It can be conferred, but they cannot be used as a prefix or suffix to the name of the person. They cannot be written. Then Article 18(1)(2) prohibits any citizens from accepting any title from any foreign state. Then Article 18(3) foreign nationals. It also prohibits any foreign nationals holding any office of profit or trust under the states not entitled to accept without consent of the president any title from any foreign state. They can accept, but without consultation, without permission of the government of India, they cannot take. No person, whether citizen or aliens, holding any office of profit or trust under the state without the consent of the president accept any present emolument office of any kind from the other states. So 18(4), both 18(3). So that is Article 18. Okay, so together Article 14 to 18 is complete, and we have learned that various articles have been there to provide equality to the individuals and to the all persons irrespective of their nationality. Anyone who is in India has the right to equality for law, equal protection of law. Only 15 16s are available to citizens, otherwise 14, 17, 18 are meant for all foreigners and citizens also. In this way, the Constitution ensures equality to all by doing away all the hurdles, all the hazards, all the troubles on the way. Then we shall move to right to freedom. Right to freedom. Freedom means, we have discussed, liberty means absence of civil restraint. Absence of restraint. And the Constitution had earlier a provision for seven fundamental rights, freedoms, but 19(1)(f) was abolished by 44th Amendment Act. Hence, the Constitution has six fundamental freedoms. So you can see under Article 19(1)(a), B, C, D, E, and G. F is abolished. So A is freedom of speech and expression. A is freedom of speech and expression. Okay. B is freedom of assembly or assemble without arms. C is freedom to form union, association, cooperative societies. Free to move across the country. Freedom to reside, settle anywhere in the country. And freedom of profession and occupation, trade or business. That we call SAMRO. SAMRO. You can short remember SAMRO, speech, assembly, then let us understand each provision briefly. Freedom of speech and expression. It enables a person to express his views, his thoughts, his opinions. In a democracy, freedom of speech is a very cardinal right or very essential rights. If you do not have expression, power of speech, then you are dumb and you are exploited. This article contains so many inherent rights like right to publish, right to internet, right to information, right to criticize, right to criticize, right to, you can see that, right to criticize, then you can say So it contains right to criticize, freedom of the press. Sorry, I will write in here. We can write right to criticize, freedom of trade, freedom for commercial advertisement, right to information, okay, right to no right to internet, right to demonstration भी यहाँ आएगा and picketing, okay. Then right to telecast also, right to propagate one's views. So numerous rights come under that. Right to internet was recently added in 2019 by Supreme Court. In Anuradha Bhasin case, the Anuradha Bhasin versus State of Jammu and Kashmir versus Union of India case 2019, right? The Supreme Court held that right to internet is a basic human rights not only under 19 but also under 21. That is precisely a very important right. So these are the inherent rights, and another freedom is also there. Freedom of silence, you can say, is a part of 191F. To speak is also not to speak. That means a person may not speak forever. So that is called 191F. But remember, freedom of expression, speech are not absolute in character. They can be restricted by parliament in any circumstances as follows. So freedom of speech and expression that is mentioned, you can say eight restrictions can be imposed. Because I told you that collective interest, social security is not much more important than individual security. It's much more important than individual security and liberty. So these can be restricted on these grounds: security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, decency, morality, contempt of court, defamation, incitement to offense, sovereignty and integrity of India. These are the 8 major grounds upon which freedom of expression can be restricted. And Parliament will provide the restrictions. Alright, under Act of the Law. Security of the state means any the threaten to security or the security of the nirapatta, or if any speech hampers the bilateral relationship, if there is public order is hampered. Decency or morality is also a factor. Contempt of court, any violation of contempt of court. Defamation or incitement to offense. Any person encourages to someone to commit offense. Okay, these are nine. Hence, expression, speech, and expression not absolute in character. Then Article 20, protection in respect of conviction of offences against double jeopardy. This is applicable to both citizens and aliens. 19 is available to only citizens. ये 3 प्रोविजंस के बारे में बोलता है, 3 प्रोविजंस के बारे में जिक्र करता है. तो ये नो एक्सपोस्ट फैक्टर लॉ, नो डबल जेपडी एंड नो सेल्फ इंटिमिडेशंस. No exposed factor law means no person can be punished or convicted except the law prevalent at the time of commission of the crime. They can make complaint. If a person is convicted more than the law and that was prevalent at the time of commission of the crime, then he is guilty of no exposed factor law. And a person cannot be convicted for the same offense twice. That is no double jeopardy. And a person cannot be forced to be a witness against himself, or he cannot be asked to produce, forced to produce any documents, or cannot be asked to represent or to misrepresent his voice or body. Okay, no self-revelation, no person can be a witness against himself or herself. That is available, and a person is provided with three major protections that is there. Then 21. 21 बारे में जिक्र करें तो 21 contents, it's a very comprehensive rights. 21. It is also available against individuals also, and it is available against legislative and executive actions. It is a very comprehensive right. Lot of it does not refer to animals' existence or survival. It comes under its ambit comes various articles that are essential for the sustenance of life, survival of life. So it is called in fundamental of. So there are a lot of articles according to the Supreme Court. Rule that expression personal liberty in Article 21 of the widest aptitude and it covers a variety of rights and that go to constitute the personal liberties of man. So because the affirmed judgment Manaka Gandhi cases in the subsequent cases, it has declared following rights as part of 21. So let us see what are the rights that come under Article 21. So right to privacy, travel abroad, right to custodial, right to custodial, right to information also. It will coincide with right to internet also, right to reputation also, right to sleep, not oversleep, right to sleep. Okay, so these are the inherent rights available under Article 21. Supreme Court has added various rights under Article 21 because it is not right to life here does not mean to mere animal existence. Human beings should live with healthy and very means hassle-free life. So for that purpose, the Constitution has inherent provisions, and the Supreme Court has made various reinterpretation or the interpretation of Article 21, and it is adding time to time various new provisions under Article 21. For a lot of interpretations, it contains more than you can say more than 30 articles, 30 provisions. Hence, it is also called fundamental of fundamental rights. Okay, and that is 21. When you come to 21A, right to education, you will find it is the first ever right in the Indian Constitution, which contains the special right to education and up to there is not matriculation levels. It is only to matriculous levels, class 10 levels, not to higher educations. This right was inherent or found mentioned in Article 45 before the original constitutions. But in order to give it more effect or its status of fundamentalized, an amendment was made in 2002 through 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. This act added Article 21A and returned. Okay, so right to 21A was added as educational right for the children between 6 to 14 years. Not beyond that. Okay, and it was provided under it by added by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. For this purpose, the Act was enacted in 2009, and this Act came into effect on April 2010, April 1. Okay, under this, the government is entitled, both central and state is entitled to ensure free education to all children between 6 to 14 years. And for this purpose, it was amended 45 of the Constitution. Then 22. Okay, we shall come to 22. We shall continue with this. Next class we shall be doing with the questions related to chapter fundamental rights. Okay, so 22 is protection against. It is not. Okay, protection against arrest and detention. Arrest and detention are of two types. One is punitive detention, another is preventive detention. Punitive and preventive. Punitive detention takes place after under a law. That means if you commit a crime or if you are committed that you are told to confess the rights, two parts with the cases of ordinary law, and the second part deals with the cases of preventive law. So if a person is arrested under punitive law or ordinary law, he will have certain rights. Rights to be informed on the grounds of the arrest, and right to consult and defended by legal practitioner, right to be produced before a magistrate 24 hours, then right to consult or communicate with Keith and Keen. Okay, with Keith and Keen. That is also a provisions. It was a letter added interpreted by the Supreme Court. So you can say, and today it's 24. Okay, so it is available only to okay. You are right, Priyanandan. I'm sorry, but it was right to choose a spouse. Yes. Somewhere I have written read also it was found on Article 21 of the Constitution. Yes, yes, very good for asking me. But your question, if you believe in equality, then why Article 16.4 is there? That means you are referring to reservations. Yes, you are right. Equality it is also discriminating or violating equality, but it is positive in nature because India is not a country of that is of huge population who come under weaker section of the society. They have been disadvantageous, underprivileged since time immemorial. They have been like the backward classes, women, and disables. They have been deprived of their basic rights or basic human rights since time immemorial. Hence, to give them a constitutional status, a constitutional protection, and save them or protect them from social injustice and economic justice, there is a need for reservations. Hence, reservation is provided. Okay, So when they come up to the stage of mainstream society, that will be another question whether reservation will be there or not. Okay, so that is the things. So we are discussing about the against the against protection against arrest. So when a person is arrested under under ordinary law, that he has certain rights. These are the following rights: rights to be informed, right to consult, right to be produced. And Supreme Court has also said that if the person should have the right to communicate with his kith and kin, which means its own that is people. So that is available only a person who is available, who is arrested under preventive, punitive detention law or ordinary law. Okay, but when a person is arrested on preventive detention law, certain amounts of certain rights are also available. That he may be informed the right to the reasons for his arrest, but in this case the authority can deny deny this right. It may not disclose the reason for security reason for any issue related to it arrest. So and another thing, he can consult a legal practitioner. But another provision is that the detention period under a preventive detention law is 3 months. So after 3 months, it will exceed if the advisory body consisting of High Court judges extend such extension period. So there is no need to probably to produce him before the magistrate court in 24 hours, because the law under which he is arrested has a period of 3 months detention, compulsory detention. So that is also being criticized now. Ki sometimes the authority or the administrative authority misuse their powers through preventive detention law, and it is considered to be undemocratic. To be undemocratic in a country, no other democracies contain preventive detention law. But considering the huge size of India and considering the threats from different corners to the security and unity and integrity of the country, preventive detention law has some existence, has some means, has some relevance. Hence, it is called a necessary evil. Okay, hence it is called a necessary evil. Okay. So this is all about. We shall discuss towards the end of the class, towards the start of the class, next class. We shall take some notes of some famous or very important preventive detention laws in India, and the means those who are present now and those who are in practice now, and some provisions of the act also. Okay. So we'll continue in the next class with the with preventive detention laws. Then we shall come to the chapter right against exploitation. Right against exploitation. Okay, right against exploitation. That is also important. So I hope you are watching our classes. You are watching our classes and enjoying, also helping, getting help from this for your preparation. We are trying our best to satisfy your needs and to match your talent and ability. Please recommend anything needs more for you. Okay, watch our classes, give your constructive comments also, and value our effort always, because this type of endeavor is only carried on by Vanik, and it leaves no stone unturned. So hope that you are getting all the benefits. Okay. So for today, let me close the class, and in the next class, we shall be starting with right against exploitation. Before that, we shall uh, do a lesson on the preventive detention laws in India.